Welcome to the Crazy Cool Family Podcast with Don and Suzanne Manning. Parents, what if we could give you the power to transform your family into something absolutely amazing?
A family where everyone is healthy, gets along, loves Jesus, and has great purpose in life.
Hey, let us flip your thinking to unlock the power God has given you to create your own Crazy Cool family. Hey guys, this week we've got some really cool, super cool, Crazy Cool Family news for you at the end of the podcast. So stay till the end and listen for it. Hello, people. Most of you are parents. Some people. I wonder how many.
Crazy Cool Family folks.
Yes, I wonder
How's that?
I wonder how many people.
CCFF. Crazy Cool Family folks.
Yeah, I wonder how many people listen to us who aren't parents. Or maybe they're grandparents. Maybe you're grandparents out there and you are listening to this.
Raise your hand if you're not a parent and you're listening. Yeah. We see you.
Welcome. So, you know what? If you're a grandparent, you're going to be further away from this topic that we're going to talk about today because we are so far
away. Than even
away.
We are.
Yes, exactly. We are going to talk about technology. We're going to talk about screens. We're going to talk about mobile devices. We got phones. We got iPads. We got laptops. So much technology. And so we're going to actually do a series of podcasts on this. So get ready for...
Because we're going to talk about screens for the rest of the year. At least it feels like it. As we've started digging into the topic, we're
we could talk about it.
We could, yeah. We could talk about this, and we could talk about this, and we could talk about how it affects our kids and how it affects... I mean, we could invite this person on and this person on, and what about this person? And so it does feel like we could talk about it forever.
We're going to do it for about 4 topics.
Don't commit.
3 or 4.
Soon. We're gonna talk about it for several.
But
for
today,
a few. For several or a few.
We want to start today with really where you probably don't expect us to start. But it's the best place to start. And it really lines up with who we are as Crazy Cool Family and who we want you to be as Crazy Cool parents. And that is, we're going to start with us as parents. And everybody goes, oh no, I'm turning off the podcast. I'm not doing this.
Don't tell me I can't do my social media when I want to.
Exactly.
We're not going to tell you that. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, we are.
No, we're not. We're not going to say don't. Are we?
Well, let's start with...
Let's see what we're going to tell you.
Exactly. So the question becomes, what are we doing with our technology? And so we say at Crazy Cool Family all the time, your example is more important than your instruction. Mm-hmm. And so what are we doing to be, if we're going to have, we're going to get in later all throughout these podcasts about how we deal with our kids. And it's not just our teenagers. It's 3-year-olds. It's 7-year-olds. It's all over the place. But let's start with the most important relationship we have, our relationship to technology, because that example is going to share a lot about what our kids may do with it as well. So.
Exactly. So it just kind of reminds me of even I've been on a few airplanes recently, and it always talks about putting that the mask on for yourself before others. And so before we go into this series and talk about social media and technology and what you're doing with your kids and all that stuff, we have to evaluate, what are we doing? What oxygen are we taking in? What example are we setting?
And I want to lay out for you dads out there, well, moms too, that I really use technology. I mean, I'm not a geek, like in terms of I don't like all the inner workings. I don't build my own computer and things like that. But I made a point, especially with the way my life is, I go from place to place a lot. Yeah. And I made it a commitment a few years ago that I was going to get rid of paper. And because, there's 2 reasons. Because one, I would find I needed things at the office that were at home or wherever I was, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And the second thing is because I would leave paper everywhere, because I just couldn't keep up with it. And so I have literally... I just bought, for example...
I was about to say, tell them about your new toy you just bought.
I just bought a deal called a Remarkable, which is it's literally a tablet that's electronic. And the last paper I had, if you go back 3 years ago, what I wound up doing is I scan everything in home and at the office. And so I have it with me all the time. And, we have our ministry that we have people working for us that are in Arizona and Tennessee and Arkansas, and so we couldn't do paper because
Right.
it didn't work because
Right.
we do a lot of Zoom conferences and things like that, and we use Microsoft Teams but
So technology is our friend.
technology is our friend, and I really do use it. And what I've found is that one of the things we think about is that, oh, this is a new thing, and the distraction of technology is a new thing, but parents have always been distracted. I just remember whether it be with my parents, maybe my dad reading the paper,
Right.
and having a big
Or my dad
newspaper.
watched TV. Like if he was home, he was sitting in his lazy boy watching TV. That's what he was doing.
So it's not that distractions and technology's new, but there's always been distractions, and whether you can use technology for good things, because technology is our friend. It's changed my life. I mean,
Right.
I couldn't do what I do today, working in the ministry and all the things we do, without technology. I would carry around boxes of paper because of the things I have to access all the time. So
Well,
technology is good.
Well, and reality is it is with us and it's here to stay, and you can't go backwards and you can't remove it from your lives. You can try, but you're going to get crazy resistance because our kids have grown up in it. It's all they know.
Yeah.
And so for you to remove it, they would feel like foreigners, or they wouldn't feel, it wouldn't even make sense to them. And so we can't remove it, but we don't need to be distracted by it. And so how do we live with it? How do we live our best life with it?
And so what do you do, Suzanne? How do you feel like your relationship is with technology? And we'll talk about you for a minute. And how do you see, but let me give you an out with it as well. How do you feel like you see other, let's just say moms, dealing with their technology issues? And what are you seeing in you and others that you see that it's good to bring out here?
Okay, well, so I have a couple things. I guess I have a good and a bad. And so a good is that I am not connected to my phone. Like I leave it all the time in the other room and then go to another room, and I'm in that room for a long time.
And you can't find it.
Or I leave it in my purse, or I leave it, and so I'm not connected to it at all. I'm not attached to it, if you will. And then I'll look up and 2 hours later and I'll think, oh, I wonder if someone's called me, and I'll have like 12 texts or a call or, whatever. And so that's one piece that I would say that maybe find a place for your phone and check it every hour, but don't be tied to it.
Oh my goodness, I can't stand it when I try to call you and you don't have your phone for like 2 hours. And then I start bouncing around all the kids.
All the kids. Is anybody with mom? And,
Yeah.
and that happens a lot. The kids are like, is anybody with mom? Is anybody with mom? And that's the part where you check it every hour, especially if you've got kids that are out and about. But the other thing, the bad part, and I found this to be true. See, I didn't have a phone until I was, 32, and I don't remember how old the oldest kid was. Maybe, was Michael around? Maybe, so Michael was the youngest kid. But what I found with the grandbabies is that I will get on my phone almost as a distraction, as an escape. That's the word I'm looking for, as an escape. I don't want to be in 2-year-old world anymore. I want to check something. It doesn't matter whether it's Marco Polo or it's Instagram or it's my emails. I'll check those all the time, get pulled back into adult world. And I see like my daughter's doing that too. I see other moms doing that, like at the grocery store, or even if we're at the park and we're playing, I'll see the mom sitting on the bench playing on her phone while the kids are out playing. And so that's the part where it's like, we have to ask ourselves, moms, are we missing out on our kids' childhood because we're hungry for the distraction of what our phones bring us?
So one of the things you might tell parents is be present. Is work on being present. I mean, so we're reading a book right now called Screens and Teens. It's a great book by Kathy Cook. It's Screens and Teens by Kathy Cook, and she's this PhD, and she goes through all that. And tell them the story that you were reading about that in the book.
So it made me cry. Hopefully I can share it and not cry again. But she was doing a conference for parents, and one of the conferences, in the conference, she challenges parents to go for 3 days.
For 2 days, I think.
Put 2 days, no media. You can pick
Yeah.
whatever day you want. It can be a day of the week. It can be both the weekend. It can be Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Pick the days of the week, whatever that is. And so they were 3 days into the conference, and the family had gone home and done 2 days, like we're not doing this. And so the third day of the conference, this little boy comes up to her and his hands are on his hips and he goes, "Are you the lady?" And she goes, "I don't know, what are you talking about?" And he said, "Are you the lady that says we can't be on our technology?" And she takes a step back and she goes, "Yes, I'm Dr. Kathy." And he goes, "I just want to thank you," and gives her a giant hug. And he says, "I have my daddy back. We went to the park and we played ball, and my daddy says that I throw a ball really good and that we're going to start playing chess and that I'm pretty smart and I'm probably going to be pretty good at chess. Isn't that neat that my daddy told me that?" And so Kathy in the book says she was bawling and I was bawling, and Kathy looked across the room and saw that the mom was bawling. And I just think it was a wake up call to that family that, I might be on my technology too much. Right. I might be missing out on the moments of my child's childhood. I might not be throwing the ball. I might not be playing chess with them because I'm too busy checking my emails or checking my bank balance or whatever it is. All the things, checking the scores or what sporting events happening or Facebook or all the different things.
I'm a master at checking my email. I check it all. I mean, I really do.
How many times? How many times an hour do you check your email?
I don't know. I'm bet I check it 50 times a day.
50 times a day. Yeah. And so there's 24 hours in the day and you sleep 12 of them.
I know. I don't check it for 50 hours.
No, I'm just saying that's more than once. More than once an hour, like several times an hour.
I know. That's just, I think, and as a parent, aren't there certain things that you just do with your phone all the time that, and I'm really trying, I'm not saying that's a good thing at all. I mean, it's good for business because I'm on top of that and I know when people communicate with me or whatever, but I'm trying to check my email less because so much of it, I mean, there are 10 emails out of 100 or even any relevant to me at all. But it's like I feel if I see that little number and it's 40,
or if you've got your pocket in your phone and you feel it buzz, you instantly pull it out and look and see.
Yeah, no,
I
don't let it buzz me for emails. I only let it buzz me it does buzz me a little bit for text.
And so anytime a text comes in, you're going to stop what you're doing and check that text.
Yes, but it's interesting. I really want to make the point of, like, for me, I feel like I spend a lot of time doing emails, and that's a distraction for me. Like in the middle of a conversation, I wonder if I have any emails.
Wow.
And I will, look at that, and so I'm really trying to break that habit. And I'm wondering, the reason I bring it up is because that dad, he didn't mean, he wanted to play chess with his kid, as you can see, because once he took the technology away, he did good things.
Yeah, the space opened up for him to do it.
Well, and he could have filled it up with something else if he really didn't want to pursue the kid.
Yeah.
And I just believe for you parents out there that you're good parents and you want to pursue your kid and you don't want to be distracted from your phone. And if you were to have the opportunity, you would go pursue your kid. Is that right, parents? Raise your hand again if that's you. And so I
think about one of your friends. I think it's Toby who says that he either doesn't bring his phone in the house at all.
Oh yeah, he drives me crazy. I never can get a hold of him. He drives me insane.
Or he puts it in his bedroom or he turns it off. I don't know what his method is, but he does not let work, email, anything get to him when he's with his family.
And parents, don't you know that guy or girl that's your friend of yours that just is inconsistent with getting back with you? Mm-hmm. And you're like,
do you admire him or do you hate him?
No, I'm annoyed with him.
I admire him because they're not so attached. Yeah. They're not. It's like that person when you do text them and they text you right back. You're like, well, do you not have a life? Where is your life? Wait, what are you doing right now?
I admire them when I talk to them later, and they're like, "This is my principle, and this is what I do, or whatever." But in the moment, I'm like, "Dude, do you ever?"
Instant gratification. That's what we want.
And so, But I mean, I think that, and I just want to, kind of wrap up that little segment with, what is it that is your deal? Mine's email. And so it's okay. And I'm starting to do that and honestly, one of the things I've noticed, for example, is I'm trying to only look at email through my computer.
Oh, that's
because it's shorter. I can get through it quicker.
And you can delete them out.
I can delete all those ones out quicker. It takes longer on my phone. And it means that when I'm not at my laptop or at my computer, then I don't need to look at my phone as much.
And so when you look at your phone and you see that little number on the email, you just let it go.
Well, not always. I mean, I'm not doing a very good job of it, but I want to.
But so that's your thing you're going to work on.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so and then my thing is escape. Like
Right.
I'll pull it up to escape, to escape the present moment that's happening right now, whatever that is. Whether it's I'm sitting at a red light, I'm going to go pull up something and see, whether it's my emails or whatever, instead of just being at the red light, just looking around, being in the moment. We don't sit around anymore.
Yeah.
We don't appreciate life that's happening right now because we're so pulled and distracted into what our phone presents to us.
And that's so true. I mean, parents. And I think the theme of this to me is distractions.
Yeah.
And how distracting our technology is. It has value, but it also has distractions. And so trying to eliminate that, if you can eliminate some of those and create space, just create space to, like Suzanne says, to look around. So often, I just, like last night, I came home and I was just kind of frustrated. And I think sometimes as we just have this barrage of information coming at us all day, it leads to frustrations that we don't even know why. I mean, I was going, why? This hadn't been that bad of a day. The world has gone okay. The bills are still paid. Everything's still, Suzanne and I have gotten along. I didn't, what's been going on? And I'm like, oh, wow, man, I've just been going. I just feel like that I've been pounded by information
and consuming and taking
consuming,
in.
all day.
Yeah.
So, what else did what else did you get out of the book that we've been talking about, the Screens and Teens book, that you wanted to bring up? Is there anything about when you were reading it about you were talking about the parents? Is there anything else that you wanted to bring up for the parents that maybe they should know from about themselves or about?
The only thing there's about a million things. There's so many things. I highly recommend you read the book, Screens and Teens, Kathy Cook. Highly recommend it. She's got so many practical ideas in there on what to do and not to do, and how to engage and connect with your kids. And I guess that's the next thing I would like us to talk about is she's so good about coming at it from your kids' perspective and understanding where they're coming from and how they're so attached to it. And so as parents, I mean, that's one of the reasons we started talking about it from parents' perspective is because we understand, we know how we want to look at it. We want to check it. We want to escape with it. We want to do all that stuff. Well, it's multiplied in our children. It's amplified because it is their world. It wasn't our world. We didn't grow up with it. It's new to us.
Yeah,
but to them, it's all they know.
Somebody said, I don't know who said this. It wasn't her. I don't think that we are foreigners in the land of technology, but our children are citizens.
Yes.
If you think about it, like if an immigrant comes to the U.S. and there is someone, maybe they speak the language, but they kind of have to fit in, and they speak, they speak Spanish, but they're trying to learn to speak English. But then they have a kid, and the kid grows up in the U.S.
Right.
Well, they're going to be a citizen, and they're going to adopt more of the citizens. They're going to adopt more of the American ways, and
they're going to go into the school system, and they're going to learn English, and
Right.
they're going to, and that's exactly what
they
it
come
is.
home, and there's a culture gap.
Yes.
So out there, when they're a citizen in the world, in the world of technology, there's a language going on, and there's all this stuff that they understand. They come home, and there's a culture gap. And so I think as parents, one of the things we do is we then don't understand it, and so we react.
Right.
And we want to control it, and we're fearful of it. And I think what you're going to say is that instead of that, Crazy Cool Family would say, let's go get to know our kids.
Definitely.
Let's go flip it and make sure that we are pursuing them.
Exactly. And understanding our draw, our connection with technology, and then understanding that is multiplied with them. And so the asking them why is that interesting? Why are you playing that game? Why do you want to be on social media? Understanding that, reading the book, she goes through the important things that we have in our own selves, who we are, and how our kids are getting that from social media.
Hang on though, before you go into what they're getting out of it, I just want to touch on one point you just said. I think is I don't want to want to go over it too much. You said ask them why.
Right.
Ask them about. Let's before we go into that second part, let's dig into that a little bit. How do you ask your kid about their technology without being invasive? Or, so many times parents do it. They're like, give me that. Let me see your phone,
Well, and Maddox, I was even talking to Maddox about it, and he just said, I hate it when you ask me what I'm watching on YouTube. And I said, why? And he said, because I don't want to stop and explain it to you. I don't want to stop watching. I don't want to, I don't want to tell you, because then I have to do the whole back part of it. I mean, and they have all these reasons. And so just know that when you are trying to understand with your kid about the technology, you're going to meet resistance. You're going to meet resistance, not because they want to listen, they don't want to talk to you. It's that they might not want to talk to you in the moment. They might not want to stop what they're doing. It's not about you. It's about what they're doing.
Right. They have their own interest.
They have their own interest. Yeah. And so just parents, remember that the whole point of the why is to connect. You want to connect with them. Mm-hmm. And so they live in a world of technology. So what's it going to take as parents for us to connect with them through technology? And one of the best ways to do it is because we don't really know what we're doing in technology. We can ask them, teach me, show me. I don't understand. Help me, I can't. My kids have taught me so much about YouTube and all of them, TikTok, Snapchat. I remember McCade was 4 years, maybe 3 or 2. I don't remember. He posted a picture on my Facebook that I didn't know how to do. I mean, they just know.
Well, and so one of the things I think is great is just to try to jump into where they are with it, and I've seen you do it. So hey, I don't know how to post this picture on my phone. Right. Show me how to do that. Oh, Mom, come here, And,
they're even so good about it. I mean, my kids don't even do that. They're like, oh, we understand that you're a foreigner. Right. We understand that you're like, okay, here. I mean, McCade is so gracious when it comes to showing me how to put it on there.
Well, and like I remember.
Because he accepts that I don't know.
Years ago, I never could play Xbox. Or there's so much.
For sure, never.
I mean, there's if you're a younger parent, I see dads now that they're playing Xbox with their kids because they are of the you're of the generation. You're more of a citizen than we are, and so you're playing. But I couldn't do that, and so I was a little bit handicapped with
Which was crazy because you played video games.
But not like
as
that.
a teenager.
But
still,
that.
like you.
Yeah, not even close.
Like you were a master. What was your game?
There's too many. It was called Galaga, but there was too many buttons.
What about Pac-Man? Were you good at Pac-Man?
No, I wasn't good at Pac-Man. I was good at Galaga and pinball. But I mean, which is nobody plays anymore. But I'm wise.
He's wiggling. I wish you could see he's doing his fingers.
Because there's too many buttons on that deal on the Xbox deal. And there's so many buttons and things they have to do, and it takes like all 10 fingers.
The coordination.
So what I did though, I said they were playing a game, and it was called Clash Royale, and it was
their phone,
on their phone,
not on their Xbox,
phone or iPad, and I was like, okay. So, and it was a very involved game, with.
And how much did I like it when you played that game?
Oh yeah, not much. But
that's an understatement.
I was able to.
But he was connecting with the sons.
But I was connecting with the sons, and I would ask them strategy questions. What
what
deck are you using? And we played each
battles
other.
together, and he would learn.
And they got frustrated with me and all this stuff. But you know what?
But you joined them in their world.
Exactly.
That's the whole point. Is you joined them. You sat, and so that's what I didn't love it that he used his time doing it, and he'd get frustrated playing the game. But I loved it.
I hated losing.
Yes, you hate losing everything, and so why would that be different? Yeah. But I loved it that he was connecting with our sons, and that he was going the extra mile, and that he was spending time in their world to get to know them. And so, parents, that's another point to say.
What's really it comes down to is just like relationships, technology's messy. And there's a lot of stuff going to it, and you can't get to everything, just like you can't get to everything with the relationship with your child, but you can connect some ways. And you can get into some ways, and you got to find those areas that asking questions. What is it? It's going to be, notice Suzanne did it one way, I did it another way, and everybody's different. There's nothing that's, this is the technique you use. You got to go with it and figure out. And it's just this messy relationship thing where you're getting to know your kid. in order to get to know your kid in this day and age, you got to get to know their technology.
For sure.
Because technology is a huge part of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, Suzanne is really good at like asking questions. Okay, tell me about TikTok.
Right.
Or tell me
Why
about...
is that valuable to you? What do you do with it?
And in fact, our kids have told us things that we want to put on podcast.
Right.
And they say, no, you can't do that because all my friends will hear and then I'll get in trouble because we've
I'm like, oh my goodness. I was sitting in the car with McCade and I said, parents would pay hundreds of dollars to hear what you're telling me right now. The back end and the dark web and all of these things that I had no idea about, that maybe parents don't have that relationship with their child, or maybe they're not even there yet to even know about it. Yeah.
So how do you do that? You do what we've done. You consistently pursue things. You create an open space. And parents, I'm going to tell you that on the side of controlling technology, we are probably on the spectrum. We are probably more on the spectrum of not controlling our kids' technology. I don't know that we've done certainly not the perfect job. If I had to fault us, it would be in being too lenient with technology, certainly not being too strict. Story of our lives with parenting in general, but you know what it's allowed us to do? It's allowed us to connect with our kids. It's allowed us to build trust. So, looking back on it, maybe I could have saved particularly my boys from some things that they might have seen or something, and I don't even know exactly. Maybe they've seen things that they're not telling me even,
But even, and they'll even say this, both Maddox and McCade, and Michael too, will say that you did put filters.
Mm-hmm,
you did put covenant eyes on there, and they are grateful for that. And they are.
And it does work to some extent.
And it does work. And so they're glad that that's there. So you haven't just opened, here's the World Wide Web, cruise away. You haven't necessarily done that. What you're talking about is we haven't put time restraints on there. We haven't gone in and said, turn your phones in at night. We haven't said you can only be on technology for 2 hours or 1 hour or 30 minutes a day. We haven't really done any of that. But what's beautiful about it, and Maddox was even talking to me, and hopefully we'll get him on a podcast and he'll share a little bit of his story when it comes to social media and technology. But he has said because we did not put a bunch of control mechanisms on him, he felt like he had the freedom to choose not to do it.
Right.
Versus with you say, you can't do it, you can't do it. Well, come on, you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to want to do it. It's human nature.
Yeah, exactly.
So much. Oh, we've just got so much to talk about. This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to technology.
But let's kind of wrap up here. And we've talked about two things. First of all, what are you doing with technology, parents?
Right.
And
are you being distracted by it? Are you not living in the moment?
What do you want to do to be the example for your kids and to set the standard in your home? And it's not, hey, look what I'm doing.
I put my phone away, put yours away.
Exactly. Really, if you put your phone away and you concentrate on them, they'll notice.
There's one more story that she says in there that's so good that Kathy talks about, that they decided that they were going to have screen-free zones, and one of them was the kitchen table. And they put their phones away when they sat down for dinner at the kitchen table. And each night they stayed longer and longer at the kitchen table.
Oh, yeah.
To visit and talk because the conversations were real.
Right.
They weren't, fake like the screen. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
Be in the moment. Yeah.
And then just pursue. And if you're going to get to know your kid, you're going to need to get to know their technology. That's what we said, is that you're going to need to pursue them. It's going to be messy. You're going to get rejected, but just listen, ask questions, establish that rapport with them where you're safe. Remember, one of our culture deals is to create a safe haven.
Right.
You want your kid to be able to, and even if they mess up, even if they mess up with technology, are they able to bring it to you, or would they think, oh my goodness, I'm going to get yelled at, I'm going to get in such trouble. I would never share that with my parents that I messed up on technology. Right. I'm going to hide it. And believe me, they know how to hide it. So
they're way smarter than we are.
Exactly.
Remember, it's their world.
So the more you can do to bring out the relationship, the more you are, and helping them make their own decisions with technology, as she was talking about with Maddox. So any final words?
No, this is good. I'm looking forward to the next ones.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us. We hope we've had a good, helpful discussion for you as we begin to talk about the many things with screens and technology. We will see you next time. So go be crazy, parents. crazycoolfamily.com. But don't turn it off yet. We want to also just remind you of we've changed some things in our ministry, and we have a membership site. We've always had the membership site, but now it's free, and it's called Basecamp. So you'll see some things in the show notes about it, but you can go, and it has basically, if you want to be discipled as a parent,
Right.
if you want to
That's a good way
learn
to
to
put it.
parent
Yeah.
a godly family, we have courses there for you to go through. On the podcast, we touch on topics,
Yeah.
and we bring in concepts. In the membership site, we take you through everything you need.
Basics, principles.
Yes, to be a parent raising a godly family. The site is, go to basecamp.crazycoolfamily.com.
Couple dots in there.
Yeah, basecamp.crazycoolfamily.com. It's in the notes as well. And sign up with us, and you will see great material on overall how to raise a godly family. See you next time.
Crazy cool family.
A crazy cool family. See you next time.